everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming to Raygun tonight. I would like to introduce you to the work. This is Jan Van Der Ploeg, and he is an artist from Amsterdam who's unfortunately unable to be here tonight, but he sent us instructions to make these wall paintings, and it sent his painting. And I thought, as you all know, Tan's in San Fran at the moment, and I thought Kyle has shown with Jan in the past, and he's a colleague, and Dr. Kyle Jenkins from the University of Southern Queensland. So I thought, instead of trying to struggle through it myself, I could just ask Kyle.
You just upload it.
Yeah. Well, whatever you're going to say is much more sensible than whatever I'm going to say.
Okay.
So I thought maybe you could talk about Jan's interests.
Jan's interests.
And wall painting.
Okay. Yeah, all right. So I've known Jan for 21 years. And I first met Jan when I was 18, and I went to Amsterdam for the first time. And throughout Jan's career, he's always run different projects. So he first ran Weiberg, which was a space that was in a kind of nightclub, sort of nightclub restaurant, where it was a space that was in between the nightclub and the toilet. Sort of associated with Jan, or got to meet him, was through another New Zealand artist called Julian Dashpard, who passed away a few years ago, and him and Julian invited Jan out to New Zealand and then obviously to Australia to do some shows over the years, and they were very good friends. And it was through that sort of relationship that I sort of started to have exhibitions at Jan space, and then Jan would come and have exhibitions at spaces that I was running in Sydney at the time. So it was through this kind of mutual appreciation club that we became friends. And now he runs a project called PS, which is Postscriptum, which is an important word for him, or term for him, because being Dutch, coming from this kind of very traditional background of doing painting, like Vermeer, for example, it's a bit of a burden for those painters. And for Jan, he was never sort of interested in classical painting, but more interested in distill. So this idea of a kind of total environment, this collapsing of different things together, whether it's interior design or architecture or painting, graphics, etc. And and I think that's what's so interesting about Jan's work, is that it isn't really about one thing, and probably why Jan hates the word non-objective so much, because his work is very subjective, and his work draws on lots of different things that and shapes and colours to do with the interior and exterior environments. And so his first paintings were kind of based on this red one, except that they were a single elongated circle in the middle, and it was actually, they were called grips, and they were actually the shape of shopping bags, the grip of a shopping bag. So he started those first and did wall paintings of those, and he still sort of does those, but his kind of work now is kind of between this sort of positive negative, and he plays off those things. I'm not sure what number these wall paintings are, but I think he's done maybe in 15 years he's done 300, 400, 500 wall paintings. He does wall paintings anywhere and everywhere, so he's done wall paintings on the underpasses of bridges, he does wall paintings on tiny signs, obviously in galleries and things like that. So I guess the thing for him is that he comes from this sort of line of different artists internationally, such as, say, Solarwit, who are sort of engaged with this idea of expanded notions of painting. So the idea that a painting can leave the canvas and become more environmental, and you use the surface of the architecture as a canvas, so to speak. And that's what's sort of so interesting about his work. And in Europe it can be a bit of a burden, because you have like concrete art out of Switzerland, and you have obviously have De Stijl, you have the Bauhaus, you have all these things that are kind of for these younger artists. And then Jan's still pretty young, he's in his mid-50s, but he's a kind of constant burden. And but I think he's really found his, I wouldn't say niche, but found a system that allows him to be quite adventurous. And that's his sort of renewed interest in using different spaces as a skin to put these paintings on. So I think that's probably about it.
That was great. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Oh, well, if you want to work out Dutch names, you can find out what their heritage is by their name. Van is of, De is the, and Ploeg is plough, so it's from farming heritage.
Wow.
Oh.
Great.
Jan of the Plough. There you go.
I like
There's
it.
a bit of history for you.
Bravo, bravo.
Maybe don't put that
I like it. Thanks.
on. But you should check out Minus Space, which is the galleries represented by New York, and they have stacks of these, not like this, but stacks of different wall paintings he's done. I mean, lately he's been doing these black and white ones, but I mean he's done ones that are sort of hyper colours, lots of colours, and then other ones that are sort of more simplified. So, and he always likes to do this kind of, I guess, counter visual thing where you have like a painting that is a different geometry than the wall painting, but yet they're both in the same kind of area of interest at that moment. So he likes these sort of counterpoints. So, yeah.
So Kyle, it's interesting because painting like this can become a commodity.
Yeah, very much so.
But like this, in terms of that relationship that the artist might have with a museum, it becomes more abstract, doesn't it? That
Yeah, I mean, I
in
think
terms
that's
of commodity or what can be done, because now when you guys move on to the next exhibition, this is then gone.
Yeah, I mean, I think for Jan, I know this for a fact, he's gotten more and more popular in the last couple of years, and he has a studio now with assistants who drive out and make the wall paintings for him, because he makes all the, let's call it, canvas paintings himself, so he's usually in the studio making those. So he does get, I think his son was working for him for a while while he was going through his, funnily enough, his son did architecture. So his son was making most of his wall paintings for him. So, yeah, it's and I think that's the thing for him, is that he's kind of interested in the commodity, as in, you know, obviously he's interested in traditional canvas painting, but at the same time he's also interested in the conceptual idea of painting as well. You know, which is, you know, a kind of argument since the 70s. The idea that there's lots of painters who take photos now, and lots of painters who make sculptures, and lots of painters who, you know, do lots of different things, make videos and stuff. So he's pretty traditional in the sense that he's always just done, I guess you could say, painting. But within that, I think it's the way where he locates it, like in really non-traditional spaces, as a way of sort of, probably my mother, habitat. In a way, it's interesting, his paintings that are in spaces that you would never think they would be, like the underpass of a bridge, for example, when the car drives through, because he's really interested in that sort of transition and the transitional nature of painting, that it can inhabit these alternate spaces.